Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared Malott, and I live in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it's Monday, the day after the Republican Party decided to hold their Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden last night. And the reason I'm making this video today is because, as you can imagine, as a 41-year-old man with no kids, I've actually done comedy before. I actually worked at Morty's Comedy Club in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of Miss Pat. For all you comedy fans out there, I was the bartender at Morty's Comedy Club when Miss Pat was doing, I'm getting emotional, I love Miss Pat. Miss Pat was doing open mics. She's a phenomenal human being and an incredible talent. And Miss Pat, I'm going to say your name in a story about the difference between comedy and racism. So many moons ago, and I'm going to say it's 2015, at an open mic, a white boy from Brooklyn, New York, wearing a New York Yankees hat, got up on open mic night at Morty's Comedy Club, and the butt of his joke was the N-word with a hard R. And Miss Pat burst into the main room of Morty's and almost pulled that boy by his head off that stage and said, "Boy, I don't know where you told that joke and how and got away with it and got all the way here." And he said, with a microphone in his hand, "That joke kills in Brooklyn, New York." I can promise you, as a white boy whose best friend is a black man from Brooklyn, New York, no the fuck it doesn't. And now that you know that I've been on stage, that I was the bartender at Morty's Comedy Club when Miss Pat was doing open mics, you know I know the difference between comedy and racism because I experienced it. And what we've all experienced as a result of last night is Tony Hinchcliffe aligning himself with fascists, making jokes about my Puerto Rican brothers. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. That's right. You notice he didn't make a joke about Cuba? That's fucking weird, isn't it? At the white supremacist rally, they didn't actually joke about our actual enemy in the same body of water, Cuba. They took pot shots over the starboard side at one of our own ships. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. And furthermore, Tony Hinchcliffe made racist jokes about black people. He made racist jokes about Mexicans. And then Donald Trump got up at the end and called everybody that disagrees with him the enemy from within. That was as much a Nazi hate rally meant to rile up their supporters so they will commit acts of political violence. That's what last night was. We have to call it exactly as we see it. What the GOP did last night, 9 days out from the biggest election of our lifetimes, is host a Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden featuring people like Tony Hinchcliffe, disparaging like 6 million Puerto Rican voters that live in the contiguous United States. And understand, again, as somebody who's actually been on stage and actually knows an actual comedian, Joe Rogan is a mediocre comedian, the least talented person from his original show that he was on. And Tony Hinchcliffe was just riding his mediocre coattails. Straight to fascism. And that's what you saw last night. And that's what you'll see today. And you'll see a whole bunch of white people trying to tell you to lighten up. No. That was a call for political violence. I'd argue what Tony Hinchcliffe did last night precedes a crime. Hate crimes. Bet. Watch it. Watch it happen. Remember what he said.